Welcome back to the All About You podcast, and thank you for joining me for part two of my conversation with more than organised expert Miriam. Miriam, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to finish our conversation or continue it, I
To
guess.
continue, yes. Now, in our first conversation, Miriam, you talked us through a lot of the errors we tend to make when we go down the decluttering route. You gave us a lot of pointers and you gave us a lot of really useful practical information. Today, we're going to be moving on to sort of the trickier aspect of decluttering because we are going to be talking about family heirlooms, family photographs, gifts, cards, the type of
Mhm.
things that we have all got in a box, in a cupboard, in a drawer that have got a lot of sentimental value, but they do become part of the decluttering process. So I always think this aspect is sort of the advanced class, Miriam. So I'm very, very happy that you're going to hold our hands and guide us through what I personally think is the tricky part. So, Miriam, where do we start with this aspect?
I believe the basics are it's the thought that counts, and things are not people. Whenever we start going through our memorabilia, our inherited items, it's really important to realize you get to tell the story that you want. And by discerning what are important aspects versus just things we collected, it helps us let go of the stuff that's not really relevant. And then distinctions. So we talked last time about practicing your decision making by doing easy stuff first. And this is where that pays off because now you can look at a stack of greeting cards you've been saving for 40 years and open each one and realize all the people that just said, love so and so, were using it as a gift tag, not as an actual heartfelt message about your relationship versus the cards that people write a special message to you about a shared experience or you know what I mean? There's layers of how we use cards. And just because someone sent it to you doesn't mean you need to keep it. So we want to look for the easy wins by getting rid of all the ones that just say love so and so. There are a couple of exceptions, I would think, in terms of if it's the only example of someone's handwriting you have, if it is a shared joke that's on the card, that's a little different. But does that make sense? Like, it's real easy to get rid of a whole bunch of stuff really fast if you're just looking for people that just sign their name.
Thing I was thinking there, Miriam, particularly for me, a card is a way to keep a copy of their handwriting. So for me, that's what I've done. I've kept a copy of a card from my mum and one from my dad. What's your thoughts on that, the handwriting aspect?
If it's for that specific reason and you're keeping one copy, that's great. But also look to other areas where you might have copies of their handwriting, like a signature on a contract or marriage certificate or something like that that gives you a twofer, their handwriting plus something else that's interesting about an aspect of their life. But it's fine to keep them. It's just important to distinguish the difference between why you're keeping it and the default, which everyone says, well, all these people were important to me. I'm going to keep them. Well, you're not responsible for keeping their memories. You're responsible for keeping yours. And the card itself, the item itself, I mean, it carries over into collections, right? You tell one person you like flamingos, and all of a sudden, for the next 30 years, everybody buys you a flamingo. I may or may not be speaking from experience on that one, but, and not all flamingos are created equal, right? Some are way cooler than others. So you get to decide. The discernment and the distinguishing between ones you love, the gifts you love, the cards you love, the people you love, not the things the people touched. Otherwise, we'd all keep everything. That whole adage about, oh my gosh, that celebrity touched me. I'm never washing my hand again. That's just gross, you know? There's so many ways to look at it in terms of, well, what does this really represent? Is this the good aspect of the person? Is it the bad aspect of the person? Let go of the bad memories, keep the good ones. Every single thing that happened in a lifetime doesn't need to be kept. The relevant milestones, the important character changing things, that's what we look for in a good story, right? And we get to curate that story. Taking it to the next level, what happens when all the stuff you leave behind is now in the hands of someone else? They're going to tell a different story than you may be intended because you left a bunch of stuff and they don't know the story of why you kept certain memorabilia. So it needs to be archived with a story. And there are tools out there now, software and apps that can help you capture a photo of an item and then actually write the story, when it was purchased, why it was purchased, who was it for, why was it purchased. You get to tell whatever story you want. Or something silly like, well, we laughed about this every Christmas because it's so hideous. Whatever it is. But you capturing those stories to pass on is way more important than the actual things that are supposed to remind you. You're not going to forget you have kids if you get rid of their bad artwork, right? You're not going to forget you had parents or grandparents. You're not going to forget you all moved to a different country. Whatever it is, there's lots of things that survive without the physical representation if the story is captured and shared.
I mean, there's one thing that I personally want to put in this podcast. I've been doing podcasting for near enough 4 years now. And one thing that has become incredibly important to me, I have done some podcasts with people talking about their life in general, and those people have passed.
Mm-hmm.
And I began to realize that the voice of those people is out there in the ether forever for their
Yes.
family, their grandchildren, and
Mm-hmm.
their voice will live on as long as we have podcasting in the universe, the ether, whatever you want to call it. I'm incredibly proud because we are talking about keeping birthday cards with handwriting. We now have the facility, and you don't have to be a podcaster, you can use your mobile phone.
Mm-hmm.
Get friends and family just to record a quick 5 minute chat about their life on the phone. You can save it, you've got it forevermore. I don't
Yes.
think a lot of people sort of realize how valuable that could be.
Yeah. I love recordings. I love people telling their own stories. There's a lot of ways to capture it. I love the idea of just sitting down with the phone. I've been in a lot of situations, including in my own family, where people didn't want to talk about something. And so now we have photos of people that we don't know who they are. And I know my clients, they have a tendency to, if they don't know who it is or what it is or why it's there in the pile of stuff they inherited, their tendency is to keep it anyway because it must be important. Someone else kept it. So that's the other thing. Is it actually important if you don't even know who it is or what it is? And if you're unsure, keep those things in a separate pile so you focus on the things you do know. And then as you uncover more, some of those things may come into focus. It may become clear that that's the photo, the wedding photo with the second wife, or, that just occurs to me because it's sitting over there on my trunk. We finally figured out who someone was in one of the frame photos that was hanging on a wall. It's still about the story, right? It's about the uncovering of it. But if you don't figure it out, it's okay. There's a reason that story wasn't told, or it wasn't your business, or whatever happened. It became irrelevant to someone at some point. And so it's okay to let that go. But by all means, the stories that are important and are shared, that's how we tell history, right?
I'm glad you said that about the photographs that you don't know who they
Mhm.
are, because I'm going through this photograph project at the
I
moment.
can see that.
And I'm basically taking sort of 2 or 3 photographs every couple of days, taking a photograph on my phone, email it to myself, and then writing a little
Mhm.
blurb. But again,
Yep.
I have now got a pile of pictures. I have no idea. I
Yep.
feel you have given me permission to A, put them to one side in an envelope and see if something materializes along this journey, or
Yep.
B, if I don't know who they are, let it go. And it's
Yeah.
almost like you've given me permission.
Yeah. It's fine. It's not the person. The person's already gone. They're still around us at all times, whichever way you believe. It's fine. But the photo is not the person. What it is things left undone in your space, in your life. And that's not a good feeling to go around thinking I didn't take care of that. So decision making that it's okay to let that go or to set it aside and actually leave a little note in the envelope that says, I don't know who these people were. They may or may not have been important to our family.
Another aspect, Miriam, I want to cover is particularly for women, we tend to inherit the jewelry from the female members of our
Hmm.
family. I've gone through this myself. I've had 2 generations worth of jewelry. Wasn't my style, but I've kept the bits
Mm.
I would wear, the very classic bits I've kept. Everything else, I bit the bullet. I went to speak to a jeweler and said, okay, this is the jewelry I'm never going to wear. I want to literally have one piece of jewelry that I will wear and treasure. And I literally
Mhm.
had this conversation with the jewelers and got it all sorted out. And I came back with a lovely pair of earrings. And as far as I am concerned, they are a piece of my family history. No, they were
Yes.
not worn by either the 2 generations, but in my heart, I know that the basis of it is from my family. And I love
Mhm.
that. I got rid of a load of stuff. I've got something I will wear very, very frequently. And I think I cracked it on that particular aspect with the jewelry.
I think you really did. Just because someone owned it doesn't mean it's valuable to you. And so taking it and having pieces that have exquisite stones or, precious metals and turning it into something lovely that is still a piece. I mean, the royal families do that constantly. They are taking the stones out, reworking them, changing it up, staying current, whatever it is, it's fine. That's the beauty of the more precious things. The costume jewelry, by all means, have some of that converted too if you actually really like it or just need something a little more contemporary to wear. But it's not the person. Again, I actually do quite a bit of selling of pieces just to melt down for people just because it's not good, but there is cash value in gold and gems. And so that's another option as well. But I love that you took it first to get a few things remade so that you had something that does represent all the things that went into it. Love that.
I do think when we're going through this sort of part 2, this tricky we're talking about, I
Hmm.
think we need to make ourselves a card, an A4 card, and write on there, things are not the people, because
Yes.
it's a very emotional journey. You've got to psych yourself up to do this little project. It's going to
Hmm.
be very emotional. It's going to bring up a lot of memories, some positive, some negative. But I think just having that reminder, things are not people.
And to go along with that, especially women are often really afraid that they will offend someone by getting rid of something. So I have two thoughts on that. Number one, what other people think about you is none of your business. Go on about your business and don't worry what they think. If they love you, they will still love you if you get rid of that hideous sweater they gave you for Christmas, right? If you are holding on to things just to not offend someone, take a look at what it is about offending someone that's so offensive to you. I mean, that's a different conversation than the thing. That is about your self worth and being good enough in other people's eyes. But once you receive a gift, it is yours to do with what you want. That includes inherited items. They left it behind because they didn't deal with it or they thought it was special. Doesn't mean you have to think it was special. It means you take that thought that someone thought of you to send you this rocking chair, and now you're like, oh, I don't fit in this rocking chair. I don't have anything this goes with. I never had a child to rock a baby to sleep in a rocking chair. Whatever it is, you can let it go. Or you can repaint it and put it on your porch and use it in a different way. But it's never about offending the person if you get rid of the thing. That's a made up thing. That's in your mind. Anyone that's that offended shouldn't be in your life anyway, because it's none of their business anymore. It's none of their business what you do with it once you have it. It's none of your business what they think of you because of that action.
I think a very interesting thing that's also sort of come to me, Miriam, when I've been going through this photograph project,
Mm-hmm.
it's made me think of my own things that at some point somebody is going to have to go through. And
Yes.
that's a scary thought.
Curating your own story is so much better than letting them tell a different story.
I mean, can we talk about that? Because it's a bit like we're the sandwich, isn't it? We're sort of
Mm-hmm.
trying to declutter the things we've inherited from our family, and then we're looking at our own goods and chattel that someone else is going to go, oh my God, what was she thinking when she bought this? Or, my
Right.
God, she had excellent taste. Let's touch on that a bit, because this is something I didn't expect on this decluttering journey.
There's a piece of this that goes to how our brains process information, which is we tend to remember things that are traumatic or absurd. And so, a great way to approach decluttering sentimental items is to look at the absurdity of life while you're doing it. You might see 800 pictures of the 150th anniversary party or something, and it's really the same five people in all 50 photos, right? Whatever it is. So, which are the best? What is that story? But as we look at our own selves, we have a tendency to not let go of old identities. And life is a constant trying on and shedding of identity. Over and over and over, we try this on. We become this kind of artist. We are into this kind of movie. We're into this kind of music. And then later we realize, oh, it was because I was dating that guy and he liked that stuff. Did I really like that stuff? I don't know. So when we look at it, think about what will it tell someone? What is there that is actually how you see yourself, not how other people have identified you by giving you 800 flamingos, or how you ended up with 12 ugly Christmas sweaters, or why you have a rocking chair that's an antique, but you painted it. None of that is anyone's business except yours, and you get to tell the story. If you're a funky artist with a painted rocking chair on your porch, that's different than, oh my gosh, you totally abused this rocking chair by painting it, right? You get to tell it. You get to curate it. You can become an entirely different person in the future after you're gone by what you leave behind. Think of the stories we've heard about, oh, a very, average teacher left $3 million to her family, or there's always these surprises, and you get to be the one that picks those surprises for your family. That makes it fun.
I mean, Miriam, can we talk about the process that you would go through with the client When
Mhm.
you've gone through and you've done the bookcase and the wardrobe, but
Mhm.
when you go through this tricky bit with the family heirlooms, what sort of
Mhm.
things come up for the client you're working with?
It's always mixing up the things with the people. It's always being worried about what other people think about you. It's always that responsibility for carrying on the traditions. But when we think about it, how many of those traditions that you're trying to hold on to do you actually practice these days? It becomes something we used to do. And that's okay. That's part of our history. But it doesn't mean you have to keep all the accoutrements for that thing that they used to do that you never actually did, right? It's putting it in context. What did that lead to? Why did it stop? What do you do instead? When I work with clients, we really just start with the easy stuff. Let's go through those cards and get rid of the ones that are merely signed. Let's separate it into photos versus correspondence versus other ephemera versus household goods. We go through each of those a second time. The cool thing about sorting your memorabilia is that you get more context. The more stuff you look at, the more context you get. And then you understand, oh, that's the christening gown in that photo. Let's put them together. Maybe they get displayed differently. Maybe they just get a special box, but they're together. And that's part of the story. It can be really fun to do like the initial sort by yourself so you can kind of do things and then get different input from different family members and go through the pile you kept a second time with someone else to see what they add to the story or what they point out about why it's not relevant anymore. And it helps you pass on the stories while you talk to other family members. It's so much more fun to sit around and look at the photos and help everybody determine which ones are kind of familial relevant versus personal relevance to just you. And then you have a better idea of what to hang on to and what to archive. They want to hang on to things for their legacy and they want that shared history, but then they don't store it well. And so it gets ruined anyway. So if you're going to do that, do it right. And that means you're a little bit more limited by budget and space and technology of what you can and can't do. And there are some things that just can't be rescued because critters got to it, or the magnetic strips in the photo album ruined all the stuff, or the Kodachrome film that was supposed to keep color vibrant forever. Turns out it only lasted 32 years before they all started fading. So there are millions of people that took photos in the 70s that won't have those memories for much longer because they've been fading for 20 years now. So just know that happens and there's nothing you can do about it. It didn't matter if you archived it, it's still fading. Just know that. Be aware of the parameters so you can set your expectations of what's going to get accomplished.
I mean, we've covered an awful lot in this short conversation, Miriam. Any final pointers? Any final words of wisdom?
I would say it's up to you to decide what you love and like and what's relevant to carry forward and not worry about what other people think about it, or they would have taken the project on themselves.
I mean, that is so interesting because I feel like you are giving us permission.
Yep. It's permission to let go of anything you need to let go of, and it's permission to hang on to anything you need to. But the important part is to look at it and consider it and make a decision.
Because at the end of the day, you're the one going to be storing it, hanging it, or
Mm-hmm.
making a collage of it. You're the one that's going to be doing the heavy lifting at the end of the day. So
Right.
you need to be the one in control of this. And I feel that you have given me personally commission. Okay, Sheila, these photographs you don't know, put them in an envelope for now. And then when they get to the end of your project, and if you still don't know,
Mm-hmm.
I have given you permission to say, okay, that's it. I've gone as far as I can. Celebrate the work you have done and let it go.
Yes, exactly. It's all about you.
And that's the name of the podcast as well. So, Miriam, I think what you have said in this podcast has really resonated with me in respect of decluttering my family things and obviously looking at my own life as well. And I think that really does make you like, oh, right, well, how would I feel if someone else goes rifling through my cupboards or drawers or boxes and stuff? How, what's the story that's going to give them of me? Yeah, that's a sobering thought, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, that just sparked one more thought. Sharing just a personal thing that happened when I went through my grandparents' things. I don't know that much about my great great grandparents on my grandmother's side. And the only thing my grandmother had kept was this journal from her grandfather about his time on the Santa Fe Trail and giving wrong directions to people that wanted to come to Santa Fe, New Mexico. And then feeling guilty about it a few days later, like, I hope they're okay. And it's like this mystery now of, oh my goodness, but that was literally like the only thing she had in her files from her grandfather, and it was this fantastic story. But it wasn't even the complete journal. It was just like that one trip, and I guess he had kept journals the whole time, but that was the one that made it through, and it's like this family lore that is hilarious. And so it doesn't have to be complete either. It can give puzzles and mysteries to future generations to figure out.
Miriam, that is a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant anecdote to finish on. Miriam,
Yeah.
thank you so much for all your time, your advice, your pearls of wisdom, and the permission you have given us. I can just imagine I'm going to have Miriam going, Sheila, it's okay, let it go.
Yeah.
I would feel comfortable knowing I've done everything I can. I've got to the point I can let that go and all will be well.
Yeah. I think permission is a big part of it. So you have it.
Miriam, you've been an absolute superstar with 2 podcasts about decluttering, 2 very, very different. I think the first one was the practical, don't grab everything out of your wardrobe and expect to have it done in 4 hours. It's not going to happen. Lots of practical advice in that first one. And then, as I say, getting on to the tricky bits here. I feel a lot happier in my own decluttering journey with family things after speaking with you. So, girl done good.
Oh, thank you.
So, Miriam, I'm going to add all the links to your website where everyone can get in contact with you. And can I say a huge thank you for 2 podcasts, demystifying, giving us advice, and taking some of the, I don't want to say trauma, but some of the tricky decisions, heartfelt decisions from the decluttering process. Thank you, Miriam.
You're quite welcome.
Well, thank you for listening to that podcast, and I hope you enjoyed our conversation as much as I did. So please subscribe for future episodes on whatever platform you are listening to this on. It is free, and please share this podcast. And if you have a story to tell, please contact me on allaboutyoupodcast@yahoo.com and let's tell your story.